So, talk to me a little bit about the triad experience. Explain a little bit more
Ooh.
what that is and like the rules and how that works.
All right, yeah. So basically, it's like dirty boxing, more like Muay Thai style clinching and stuff, working inside, engaging inside the clinch. Um, it's basically like a 50-50 equal playing field for boxers and MMA fighters. Because boxers, want to control the distance and work off the jab and set their punches up from the outside, as the MMA guy wants to cut the distance off so he can get inside and get the clinch. Um, in a triangle, there's not much space for a boxer to move. So, having it equilateral 60 degrees, 60 degrees, 60 degree, you can trap the boxer in the corners. Now, I made the adjustments, luckily, in the second or third round, because the first I got clipped a couple of times. Um, and I think from the experience, the MMA guys have the leverage because they throw those big overhands and they find those shots. And you're wearing 8-ounce gloves, but these aren't like 8-ounce boxing gloves where you can, you got the padding and you can play a lot of defense and catching and shooting and working the parrying wise. You got to keep your hands like out here, probably like 5-6 inches away from your face, so you can catch the shots from out there. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the MMA guys want to wing those big overhands and make it a dirty fight. Um, there is rules that kind of play into the MMA guys, like you can hammer fist, spinning back fist, and Superman punch. Um, I wouldn't do it out of that because I stick to my traditional boxing. But there was a couple times where I was thinking, should I throw a spinning back fist? Should I mix it up a little bit? You know what I mean? Like a piece of me. I think as because they actually called me back. I'm gonna be fighting in June. They're gonna have the next one in June. We're just working on some of the logistics right now. Um, but I want to start mixing it up. So I'm going to be working with a lot of Muay Thai guys. I've been in talks with Kelvin Cater, which he's a UFC fighter in the top five right now. He fought Max Holloway for the um, I think it was the 147 UFC champion. What was it? I think welterweight, no lightweight, the lightweight belt. Um, and then Rob Font, who's a featherweight, and he's on the rise too. He's in like the top three right now. So I'm gonna have a good camp for that. And I'm gonna strategize on more working inside and getting controlling the distance and having to work inside and putting that pressure on me and things like that. Just trying to have them cut me off and work more of that Muay Thai dirty boxing style. Because it's different. It's not like boxing at all.
Is there knees
Boxer,
and kicks and elbows and shit like that?
no, no, no. But I think it's going to evolve at some point. I'm assuming they're going to start adding more and more shit to it. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a new sport, brand new sport. So they've only had one fight. But as they're bringing guys along, like I've heard talks of Anderson Silva wanting to get involved,
Right.
Vitor Belfort and Chad Dawson fighting, which is going to be a great fight. Um, and then, I mean, Kubrat Polev knocking out Frank Mir. Now he's fighting Junior Dos Santos. I think, Frank Mir was more of a wrestler. That's his style. I think with Junior Dos Santos being more of a Muay Thai style jiu-jitsu fighter, I think this will work a little more to the MMA guys' benefit. But it should be interesting because a heavy hand like Kubrat Polev changes the whole dynamic of the fight. You know what I mean? Like, so there's a lot of things how I'm kind of foreshadowing it, how it could go. But the boxing team's got a good team this time, and I think we're looking like we might definitely pull this out. So
So is the way that it's
oh,
framed is
it's
boxing
team
versus MMA?
it's team involved. Yeah, so
Gotcha.
it's 3 points. 3 points to win, 1 point if it's a draw. Obviously, both team gets a point, and then it's 5 points a knockout. So the knockout's huge if you get that. And we lost to the MMA guys because they had three stoppages, I think. No, two. So it kind of didn't really play into our hand. Let alone they had a couple stepping stones on the boxing team, and they had a lot more of like prospects on the MMA team. So it was kind of like between the veterans, the prospects, there was more. I'd say there was more veterans and stepping stones than there was prospects. I'd like to see them start bringing up more prospects in the sport. You know what I mean? Like people that, you know, the equal, like make it a 50-50 draw. If you're all right, there shouldn't be A side, B side fights, especially to a new sport that you're trying to sell. This is marketing. You know what I mean? You got to make it 50-50 draws. So people are
Right.
attracted to it and they want to see it, because if you're watching some guy like the club shows, they're made for A sides to get built up for the B against B sides to become, you know, a bigger name in a bigger promotion. It's pretty much like middlemaning. You know what I mean? You go to club shows, you expect to see A side versus B side fights. Um, Once in a while, like we saw 2 weeks ago, you see, you know, a big A side get knocked the fuck out. It happens,
Yeah.
but it's It's rare. It's rare. And that was a great knockout, by the way. I forget the guy's name, but that was very interesting to see.
So how did you segue your own career into this new medium? You know what I'm saying? Obviously coming from like a classical
All
boxing
right.
tradition and from the area
So
that you come from.
so my cousin Jeff Fraser was on season 1 and 2 of The Contender.
No
Which
shit.
that's what yeah. He is no longer with us, God rest his soul.
Wait, for real?
But
I didn't know that.
yeah, yeah, that's
Oh,
my cousin. I'm a fourth generation boxer. You have you ever heard of Jeff? Jeff
yeah,
fought at
bro. Dude,
Austin.
the Contender was a huge deal for me.
Huge
I've
hit. Yeah,
worked out
yeah.
with Alfonso Gomez before.
Yeah, they were tight. Him and Alfonso were real tight. He's very good friends with Jimmy Lang. I met Sergio Mora when I fought Aponte because he commentates the Day Zone fights. And he's like, oh man, God rest Jeff's soul. He was a real good dude. Sergio's a kind-hearted guy. Peter Manfredo, very close with Jeff. They fought in the amateurs together. My coach, my old coach, Brendan Simo, actually beat him in the Junior Olympics, I think, or Silver Gloves, something along the lines of that. But yeah, Jeff got called back in to fight at Caesar's Palace. He got voted back to fight Anthony Brent Cooper and beat him in dominant fashion. But long story short, my cousin Derek and him were, you know, a big name in amateur boxing back in the day, both winning national PAL tournaments and a lot of different tournaments around the area. Jeff, my uncle Norman, was going to be. They wanted to bring him in as an Olympic coach, but he was going pro with my cousin Jeffrey at the time. So he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna move forward and take my son to his next step in his career." So he passed on the whole trying to be an Olympic coach bullshit. Um, but it all started back from my grandfather. Long story short, I'm the fourth generation of boxing in my family. So for my family, this means a lot right now for the amount of love I'm getting and all the calls that I'm getting for Triad or whether it's boxing. And, you know, I've been in talks with Triller for a little bit about actually having a boxing match with them um, before the Triad. So we're looking at May and then we're looking at June for Triller Triad. So we get some big things coming up, really big things coming up. Now, being the first to win inside the Triller Triad, that's huge. I mean, it's sellable, it's marketable. Everybody knows that. Like I'm the first boxer to ever step in there and win inside a whole new sport. You know what I mean? So we're kind of selling it as, you know, I want to be the face of the Triad. I want to be the first world Triad champ. I want to do things like that. I want to accomplish it. You know, because boxing's already got a lot of the guys they've brought up. They already know who they want to sign. They've been watching these kids since they were 8 years old. So it's tough for a guy like me that's 26 with 3 losses on my record to get signed by any big promotion. I mean, it's possible, yeah, but I'm gonna have to fight people like Delonte Tiger Johnson, which I just got a call for that. Um, and a lot of people were like, you know, that's a dangerous fight. I mean, he's 145, but he's 5'11. You already had a tough time with Aponte, who was, you know, 6 foot flat. He's like, you know, maybe you shouldn't be fighting these taller guys, these bigger guys. So I'm staying in my lane. I'm going to be at 135. Might go down to 130. I'm going to try. Um, but there's no sense in going up in weight to fight someone like Delonte Tiger Johnson, who's an Olympic bronze medalist. When it's such a big A side against such a small B side, it's not like it's a 50-50 draw. So I might as well bring a gun and shoot him to win that fight. You know what I mean? Like I have to knock him out. There's no doubt about it. That's how boxing is, though. And respectfully so. Um, when my manager spoke with Brad Goodman, the matchmaker, he's like, it's a winnable fight, but it's going to be tough to win. I'm not going to lie to you guys. And we said, no, we're not going to take that. We're going to pass on that. We're going to get a couple wins and we're going to see where we can go from there. Um, Mainly what I want to do with my career is I'm hoping down the line, Triller has some contract deals. Because I'd like to sign long term with them. I like their whole team. They pay well. Um, they're just good people, man. I like Ryan Kavanaugh. I like how he does everything. They just partnered up with bare knuckle boxing too. So I'm not going to get into that shit, but I like where they're heading, and I like the way they market themselves.
So do you see
And
this triad as sort of like an alternative way for you to kind of get your name out there in a bigger platform that's not a standard promoter? Because
it's
I know a lot
it's
of
not
people,
like it's not like I got to fight with the middleman and then have some middleman club fighter promoter, whore me out to these big A side promotions like Top Rank and it's like, all right, yeah, it's very clear that I'm getting paid like low money right now to fight this guy that's probably getting paid 25,000. I want to. I'm a prize fighter. I don't want to be a professional opponent. I want to be a professional A side. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So in order to market myself, I see myself in the Triller Triad, building my name there. With that said, will I go back to boxing, get a couple wins? Yeah, because I don't want to keep being announced as 8-3 in boxing, 1-0 in triad. Like I want to be the next time I go back, I want to be 9-3. I want to be 9-3 with maybe a good flash KO. I want to sell it beautifully. You know what I mean? I want to. This is what I'm training for. I'm ready. I'm ready for whoever, but I'd like to see me get back on the drawing boards. Maybe get a nice A side win. And then see where we can go with Triad. I got a rematch against Jacob Thrall. He was tough as nails the first time. It's going to be 7 rounds this time. Um, it's going to be, a good fight, but I believe I've already felt him out. I've already felt his power. He could barely make it out of 5 with me. The way I'm training, I could go 9 rounds. I could do the championship fight if I really wanted to, but I get it. Kubrat Pulev is a gold medalist in the Olympics. He's
So you
fought
fought
Anthony
on the same
Joshua.
card as Pulev?
Yeah, dude, I met Pulev. I met Shannon Briggs. I got some videos. But yeah, they're all real good guys. I met Shannon Briggs. I met Brian Vera, who was on the Contender. Brian
Yeah, yeah,
Vera,
yeah.
tough as nails, by the way. He
Yeah.
lost a fight that was probably should have got fight of the night. Couldn't believe it didn't. Besides my fight, which that could be a bias, you know what I mean? A conflict of interest because it's me. I thought that was probably the best fight of the night. Mike Perry and Mike Seals was a good fight too. And Mike Seals was a good fighter, man. He retired from boxing after 1 loss. And it's like a lot of these guys got to get away from, well, now I'm going to be nobody because I got that loss. It's like, dude, you can still do this. Like it's very possible. I feel like they let up on themselves. Alexander Flores, he got stopped by Ortiz, but real good fighter, real good hands. I think it was just too soon for him to take a fight like that with Ortiz. I mean, Ortiz dropped the line. I mean, dropped Deontay Wilder. I mean, he's a real deal. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It's just there's so many things that we could do with the triad, and they can market it from so many different levels. Whether they want to bring Muay Thai guys in, whether they want to bring more MMA guys in, more boxers in, kickboxers. You could mix a lot of different styles into this thing, man. Because styles make fights. All right. And sure, you bring an MMA guy into a boxing ring. There's too much distance to control the boxer.
Yeah.
But you bring them into a small. It's basically the triangle is like half a ring. If you were to cut a ring in half, that's what the triad would be. There's no chance for the boxer to really control the distance the whole fight without getting clipped at some point. You know what I mean? I mean, I learned that like when I first got in, I went from being like, because all right, so this is what they did. We got there, there was the weigh-ins, and then they had the team, like your coaches and stuff, go over and check the triad out. So I got a ton of pictures sent to me. They didn't let anyone go in the triad. So no one knows what the fuck to do. I'm the first ever to go in. So I got like people like Kubrat Polev, and I'm going like, make sure you tell us like how tight, the triangle is. I'm like, I got you. And I was like, I'll count how many steps, like I counted like 2 or 3 steps, and then you're on the rope. So it's like, oh man, like shit.
Right.
When I got in there, I circled around, and I was like, yeah, there's no space here, man. There's really no space. You're kind of like, you're made. It's like a shootout, bro. You're made to go in there and dog
How do
fight.
you train for that? How do you train for that in a standard boxing gym?
So I had when I had camp formed out for that, I only had 3 weeks. I was at I was at I was going out for Halloween. I had dinner with my girlfriend and my friend Kyle, and we had drinks. And I'm sitting there and I'm buzzy, and I get a call from my previous promoter, of Boston Boxing Promotions, and he's like, "Dude, so Eric Bodger called me, which he's the matchmaker for Triller, and he's like, dude, Triller's got this new crazy fight idea. So it's gonna be in like a triangle. It's supposed to be boxers versus MMA, and the rules are there's spinning back fist, Superman punching, all the shit. The first thing I say is, yeah, let's do it. And he's like, all right, but it's in 3 weeks. So I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna have to get up tomorrow pretty hungover and get my fucking ass on the road. Yeah. So I got right into camp the next day, right from Halloween, and I put every day in, you know what I mean? And we brought a Muay Thai guy in named Brendan Marat, but she's also ranked number 7 in the lightweight division in New England. And he does a lot of Muay Thai work. He is his sensei is Rick Hahn. Rick Hahn has one of the fastest knockouts in Bellator history. So I was like, I'm gonna have this guy that's more MMA style, traditional MMA style, knows how to clinch and work inside, and that's the thing to be worked on: working the clinch, turning out, things like that, and working the dynamics of getting cut off, like cutting the ring off from like a triangle standpoint, like cutting it in half with like the slip rope. It was fucking real weird, man. It's just like if this sport takes off and I make enough money, I'm going to invest in the first gym that's like circulated around strictly being triad. I think like I'll have a boxing ring in there, but I'll be like, all right, and this side over here, guys, this is for the triad fighters. You know what I mean?
You're sparring with like a slip rope down the center of the ring. Are you sparring with like smaller gloves at all? Are you doing,
Well, so I actually just recently started sparring with those 8-ounce they're turtlebacks. The turtleback gloves are basically MMA sparring gloves. They're 8-ounce. Dude, they don't feel like 8-ounce gloves though. They feel like bricks. If you sparred like full on how I spar in the gym with a lot of my guys, we'd be all cut up. Like those things are fucking dangerous.
Right.
So like when I started, like the last time I sparred with him, I went to my brother's MMA gym, Hudson Combat, and like you got to touch, like it's all light sparring because those things can mess you up.
And
I
mess
don't know
your hands
really
up,
how.
though.
I don't really know how to spar in them yet. You know what I mean? Like I'm still trying to figure that out without like killing the person that I'm sparring with. Because if I get hit one good time, I'm gonna turn the volume up, and then it's gonna turn into a dog fight. Um, so you got to be really light with how you punch with them. You're almost better off getting 8-ounce boxing gloves and just sparring in those.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
yeah, that's something that I might start doing. Maybe 10-ounce, just so it's a little more heavier on the hands.
Right. Or I mean, even if you're hitting the bag with the fingerless gloves, at least getting used to,
Oh, I
making.
do that. I do that all the time, anyways. Yeah. When I'm training strictly boxing, I'll wear my 16-ounce gloves. When I'm training, like when I get the call for triad, which now we're in session, now we're talking about camp and all that. With that, I'm gonna have to start wearing them a lot more. You know what I mean? But still, just to get my hands laser fast and a little heavier, I'm gonna be doing punch weights and 16-ounce gloves and all that. Still, just because when you make that transition to the 8-ounce, it's like whoa, holy shit.
Yeah.
Um, but it's different. The dynamics of the sport, I'm still trying to figure out.
Right.
Now, I have a couple different ways to approach the next time I get in there that I already kind of, foresaw just watching my fight over and over and over again. But that's something that I can't tell you right now because, you know, I gotta use that as leverage for my next fight.
So do you have a date for the next fight?
So it's aimed for June. That's what they're aiming for, and they're saying either Hollywood Beach Seminole, the Hard Rock, or they're gonna try and do LA Staples Center, well, now the Crypto Center,
Right.
formerly the Staples Center. Um, we'll see. We'll see what's going on, man. We're still negotiating the logistics side of it, the payday, all that. Um, I want to be a face of this though, man. I want to be like a big name involved in Triller Triad. I'm a big fan of it. I love MMA. I did one MMA fight and got choked the fuck out. I actually first this kid who's local in my town, Tom the Phenom Pagliarulo, very good fighter. Definitely, he's state champion wrestler, all that. He didn't want to box me, I'll tell you that much. I ate a kick right on the thigh, right when the fight began. My leg instantly went purple. Um, I had him in like for a split second, I had him in a guillotine. I got out of a Kimura. I don't know how I did. Um, and then I got choked out. I got rear naked choked at the end of the second round. But long story short is I took that on 5 days notice. If I had more time, I'm such a fight guru when it comes to it. I can adapt. You know what I mean? I can adapt, but you got to give me time. Like 3 weeks was enough to at least make some transitions and adjustments over to kind of that more Muay Thai dirty boxing style, getting the clinch and stuff, and working off it in the body and stuff. But for MMA, man, you gotta do a full camp. That's a whole nother dog fight.
Yeah. Well,
But I'm happy. I mean,
like your
I get it.
boxing skills would apply more to the triad, you know.
Well,
format.
I assume. Well, yeah, in MMA, traditional boxing, your legs out, so you get kicked in the leg a ton if you try to box an MMA fighter, especially in a cage. Um, but here you can kind of somewhat control the distance, dude. Not really though. Like the jab is not useful in the triad. I tried doing it. I was like, oh man, I'll be able to pepper the kid with my jab all night. Nah, I had to slow him down. And then when he started kind of going flat footed and trying to walk me down, that's when I started pepping the jab and pop, 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 doubling it and
Right.
popping it and using it to set up more punches, like whether it was a body shot or a quick flurry in the inside, little shoe shine. Um, but I couldn't just go out there the first round with all that fire with him looping big shots at me, trying to out jab him. I got caught like 6 times trying to do that. I was like, what the fuck? I remember at one point I was there and had my hands on my head and I was like, do I even fucking want to be here right now? Like, what the fuck is this shit? And then I was like, nah, bro, this is awesome. I was like, I'm here all night, baby. And I like snapped it back together. I was like, all right, I got to see how he's throwing these punches right now because I just got my whole eye over here was swollen. I'm like, yeah, that was a pretty hard hit. I got to figure out where he's hit, how he's hitting me, how he's getting through right now. So once I started, giving him more of like this, like I don't want to say it like this, but like a more of a taekwondo look, like keeping my hand out here and like being able to catch the punches. That's where I started controlling the distance. Like I was like,
Right.
yeah, you gotta parry the shots. Like it's weird. It's not like boxing where you can kind of roll with them. You know what I mean? You can't roll with them. There's not enough padding on that glove to really play defensive boxing. Dude, it's a whole new sport. Like my coach, Gene Baraldi's like, yeah, I want to be in your corner for it. He goes, but you're going to be having to teach me things because no one knows. Well, this is more about it than any of us. Like we're still trying to figure it out. And I'm like, yeah, I kind of have like a game plan, where I've watched it so many times, and I'm like, yeah, this is where you got to step to play this chess game in this fucking ring. Um, and that's my plan is to make this a beautiful boxing match. Like make this look embarrassing for Thrall this time. Like really shut him out. Make him look like a fucking novice boxer. You know what I mean? Because last time I got into the gunfight with him, and honestly, he got the better of me the first 2 rounds. Once I controlled that distance 3 to 5, I was outboxing the shit out of him. I slipped. People like, you got knocked down though on the end of the 5th round. It's like, no, I slipped. I slipped because I was square and flat footed trying to walk him down and trying to knock him out because I wanted the knockout bonus. It was like 10K. So I'm like, yeah, I'm going for that knockout bonus regardless. I was like, fuck it. I'm biting down my mouth guard and going for it. And because of that, he ducked his head. He was in like, I caught him with an overhand right and stumbled him. And I watched his face. And I'm like, ooh, almost knocked him out with that one. I'm like, I'm going to jump on him. So I jumped on him and tried shoe shining. And he started winging overhands. And he clipped me again. And I'm like, fuck that. And I bit down and just started trying to knock him out. And I ended up almost getting knocked. Not, I don't want to say I almost got knocked out, but I got clipped and I got rocked and then went down. But it was more of me being off balance. I got right up and put my hands up. Like I wasn't like, whoa, like I've been on wobble street, bro. That was not even close to like it was just a good punch that I had ran in on because I was flat footed. It looked way more over dramatic
Right.
than it had to be. But that's the dynamics of the fight. If that bell didn't ring, that would have been a standing 8 count. That would have hurt me, man. That probably would have lost me the fight. So this time around, I'm just gonna make this a beautiful fight. I'm not looking for the knockout. The payday will come. I'm gonna just beat this kid and get that next fucking step up to the next opponent.
So
That's pretty much where I'm at.
in the long term, do you kind of see this as, this is an opportunity for you to build with something new, or do you think that it's something where you could make some noise in this and then it opens up opportunities in the boxing world, or is it both?
I mean, it kind of goes back and forth to what you just said. I love boxing. Boxing will always have a piece of me, and like I'm a prize fighter. I don't look at myself as a boxer anymore because I just was the
Right.
first to win inside this. I created so much more noise than I have in 3 years in boxing. Now, sure, I was a local standout. I'm known in New England. I'm known to be tough. I'm known to have a Mickey Ward style. I can box. I can brawl. People love that. But there's already so many names in boxing. They already have who they want to be champion. They already know who they want. Whether right now Gervonta's a champion, they already know who can beat Gervonta. They're like, well, this kid's very good and he's worth the investment because he does this differently and that style might be able to beat Gervonta. You know what I mean? They don't have that for Triller Triad. Right now, I am the only one to win inside the featherweight division. So they don't have who they don't know who they have planned out to be their champion. They don't know. It's still up in the air. Now, after being the first one to win against a kid that's pretty known in Missouri for being a very known brawlic MMA fighter, very tough. He was a champion at 1.2 in amateur MMA. I beat him. I beat him in his own dynamics of how he wanted to fight inside the triad, cutting the distance off, putting pressure. So right now, I am the number one ranked inside Triller Triad. I mean, that's just how it is. There's no other person to beat me. I'm undefeated. So it's sellable. That's where I'm at. This is all marketing. I'm a prize fighter, not a B-side opponent, not some stepping stone, not some tomato can. I'm here. I'm not fucking playing around. I want to be the best. But right now in boxing, it's impossible for me to be the best, not because of the 3 losses, because they already know who they want to be their best. For Triller Triad, I can be the greatest of all time.